come today. Time has come today.
Okay, look, from what I heard on the media, John McCain has brain cancer already, and his family is considering options for treatment. I really, really hope that he does recover from this, because this is something that no one should ever have to deal with. No one. I know that a lot of people have differing opinions specifically on John McCain, and honestly, I'm kind of addressing that I will be addressing that right now. But here's the thing: I really hope that he does recover, because this is such a bad kind of brain cancer, which is very aggressive, and it spreads throughout the nerve cells and the brain. Now I don't recall what its professional namesake is, but it's definitely really bad. And again, I hope that he does recover from this. With that being said, I've been hearing a lot of YouTube comments about calling John McCain a traitor and a warmonger and stuff like that. And honestly, I cannot stand those comments. It's literally the equivalent of calling a Trump a racist or a xenophobe or whatever. I mean, we're talking about a guy who served in the Vietnam War, who was a prisoner of war, and tried his very best to resist his captors, especially in basically the worst prison at the time, the Hanoi Hilton. It's not glamorous. I hate the fact that a lot of people are calling him a traitor, because I do not believe so. In fact, a lot of his family, his father and his grandfather before him, served in the military. That's why I cannot say that he's a traitor. You know what? You want to know what the real traitor is? Jane Fonda. Look her up. There's a reason why she's known to Vietnam veterans as Hanoi Jane. During the 60s, she was part of the anti-war movement against the intervention in Vietnam. But what makes her different from the rest of anti-war protesters at the time was that she went to North Vietnam, took some pictures of her being with the North Vietnamese, basically giving North Vietnam propaganda ammunition, and even used herself in order to create audio in order to demoralize troops who were fighting against North Vietnam. Seriously, how is that not true? How would people not consider that treason? I know that there are a lot of people, especially in my generation, that consider her a traitor despite the fact that she apologized. But still, she hasn't been given any punishment whatsoever. She was used as a propaganda piece by North Vietnam. She completely denounces the United States. She didn't really support our troops. In fact, there's been allegations of her actually abusing them while many of them were in captivity. And you're calling John McCain the traitor. That makes no sense to me. Now, I admit, I'm biased. Because, and in fact, you can tell because I have a 2008 picture of John McCain while he was running for president of the United States. But still, you have to admit, after considering the differences between John McCain and Jane Fonda, you can easily tell who the traitor really is. Oh, by the way, if you need a hint, it's not John McCain. Now, to go further into the warmongering thing, I admit there is some legitimacy behind that because he has been supportive of interventions in the past, especially like the NATO intervention in Libya. But I think that's drawn from two things. One, how he sees military intervention, and two, basically his time during the Vietnam War. And if you guys want to look more into how John McCain was doing in the Vietnam War, look at the movie Faith of Our Fathers. It basically talks about him and his life during that period. Not when he was a senator, because everyone knows him as a senator, but it does talk about his time when he was facing the North Vietnamese. Now, with continuing on, during his time at the Hanoi Hilton, President Richard Nixon launched a large-scale bombing raid across North Vietnam in order to proceed with further peace negotiations to end the Vietnam conflict. And in a way, it kind of worked, because, well, it did bring the North Vietnamese to the talking table and helped to stop the war for at least a short time, at least until South Vietnam was invaded and finally captured by the communists. Now, if I were John McCain and seeing bombers fly overhead just to send a message to the leadership of North Vietnam, that definitely shows me that military strength is a good policy. And using it as a means for intervening, or at least trying to get something that you want, especially in terms of bringing people to the peace talks, I would be like, in my mind, that's a good thing. That's basically how I would view it. I mean, I would be just watching these bombers who are definitely delivering the message that we want this war to stop, we want it to end, and we want you to come to the peace talks. And it also especially helped that it brought prisoners of war, especially like John McCain, home. But now, continuing on with this also ties in with how he views as interventionalism. He basically definitely supports intervening, and especially in some hostile conflicts across the world. In fact, like I said before, in 2011 there was definitely the intervention in Libya, thanks to NATO and United Nations support. Now, considering his time in Vietnam, he saw military intervention as definitely helping to make a big statement, and definitely trying to get the message across. It definitely, in this way, it would help the intervention would definitely help people in a variety of ways. Kind of like trying to stop the civil war in Libya, trying to stop the civil war in Syria, and trying to save several other lives. And maybe it could have been used like in a humanitarian way. I'm not saying if that was the right call or not, but if I were John McCain, that's how I would interpret it. So like I said before, I hate these labels of traitor and warmonger put onto John McCain. He's done a lot more for this country than anyone has ever had. I really hate it. I want people to stop doing this and actually think. Because this man doesn't deserve to have this kind of treatment. True, you can be disagreeing on his politics. Hell, you can be against him, especially on supporting intervention across the world, and especially if you think in Syria. But still, you have to admit that while you don't agree with his politics all the time, you should realize that he's not a traitor, and he in fact is a patriot. I think right now, more than ever, especially with the brain cancer he's been given, he needs more help than ever, and he needs more support than just his family. My name is Noah Mian from the Art of Truth. Please subscribe, like this video and post comments below. And I'll be back soon. Bye.
Has come today.